Haters are gonna hate. How do you deal with the people in your life who try to discourage you from writing? In this video, I'm gonna talk about that and give you some tips on how to deal with it. What's up, guys? Michael Laron with Author Level Up here, helping you write world-class stories better and faster. And I create these writing videos because I believe that each of you has an inner Stephen King, and you just need help unlocking it. So if you're new here, consider subscribing and click that little bell, ding, 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 to get notifications every single time that I have a new writing video. And in this writing video, we're talking about how to deal with haters. Right? So learning how to deal with haters is a very important and a very early skill that you need to learn because it affects your mindset. And your mindset affects everything in your writing life. It affects everything in your life. And learning how to deal with this and learning how to not rely on the opinions of others is something that is so fundamental that if you don't master it, it's going to dog you throughout your career. I'm going to break some of the tips into different categories of people, right? Because there are different types of people that you're going to encounter in your life who will try to dissuade you or try to make you feel inferior about the choice that you've made in your life. And so we're going to talk about each of them and how to deal with them separately. So the first type of people I want to talk about are just the haters and the bullies. I mean, these are people that have no place in your life. They're not in your inner bubble. They just don't understand what you do. They might say something stupid on Facebook, or it might be that person in the back of the class. When you say you want to be a writer and they boo you or something like that. I mean, these are people that you don't have any personal relationship with them. They're just trying to bully you, and they just don't like you for one reason or another. My advice to them is just to ignore them. They're just looking for somebody to get an emotional reaction out of. You ignore them, they'll go away, they'll go find an easier mark. That's the way you deal with people like that. There will be many people throughout your career that laugh at you when you tell them that you're a self-published writer. I myself have been laughed at several times, and this is not like the first year in my career. Like several years into my career, I've had people laugh at me in my face when I told them that I'm an author and when I'm a self-published writer. I've had people laugh behind my back, right? Just ignore them. All right, the second person I want to talk about, and this is moving up into severity here, that's a little bit more serious, are the friends that you surround yourself with. So these are the friends that don't understand what you're doing. They don't understand writing. They think it's silly, and they don't want you to do it, or they really think you're going to fail at it. Because they would much rather you spend time with them or do things that they think are better. And in my opinion, that's unacceptable, right? When you have a friend, you don't pick friends to kick you when you're down, right? You pick friends that you're going to surround yourself with who are going to be supportive of everything that you're doing. And if you've got a friend in your life that is not supportive of the thing that you've chosen, that I assume for many of you watching is woven into the fabric of your identity, writing stories, writing characters, writing books that touch people and influence their lives. If you've got friends around you that don't understand that, you need to tell them to take a hike. That is completely unacceptable. Fire them and find new friends. I recognize that might sound harsh, but you also have to remember that when you have friends, and your friends are in dire straits, or your friends need emotional support, they'd expect you to be there for them, right? Think about that. All right, so the next type of people I want to talk about, moving up our ladder here, are family members. Now, this is family members not including spouses, children, or significant others, all right, or parents. We're not talking about them. We're going to talk about them later. I'm just talking about family members, so aunts, uncles, cousins, just people in your life that, that you have a relationship with, that maybe you grew up with, or that just don't understand your writing and are perhaps a little antagonistic toward it, right? And so, this could be that uncle at Thanksgiving that pulls you aside and says, hey, I really appreciate your self-publishing thing, but have you considered really getting a publisher? That sort of thing where, just family members, they just act up and start saying something stupid. And it's like, how are you going to respond to this, right? And the best way that I have learned to respond to things like that, fortunately, I have a very supportive family, right? But, there've been a few times where, your family, they want the best for you, right? So, you'll have somebody that'll recommend something and it's like, okay, well, you just smile and you nod and you say, thank you, I appreciate that. I hadn't considered that. And then you just walk away. You just walk away. And I'm not saying to this is not talking bad about family, right? Like I said, they want the best for you most of the time, not always, most of the time. Um, but sometimes you just got to walk away. This is your life. You made your decisions, right? And nobody's going to drive that bus but you. And let me tell you this: when you have reached a level of success, and you're successful and you're living the life that you want, all those family members that were naysayers in the beginning will suddenly have been for you all along. They'll be in your corner, guaranteed. It's funny how that works. So the next type of people I want to talk about are along the same lines as some of those family members, right? And these are the people that I call the beige army. These are the everyday people, the people that are in your life that will try to dissuade you or don't believe what you're doing. There's a great book. It's called "Be a Free Range Human" by Marianne Cantwell. I love this book because it just basically follows the process of how you decide what it is that you want to do with your life, how you escape the chains of society and live your best life. I'll throw the book cover up, and then I'll drop a link in the video description if any of you want to read it. But I highly recommend that book. And in that book, Marianne talks about the beige army, right? Where it's society in general, people who haven't followed their dreams, and so they don't want you to follow your dreams, or people that they hear that you're a writer, and it's like, oh, you shouldn't be a writer. You should be an attorney, or you should be do something with math and science, right? It's society in general that is trying to stop you from following your goals. And I have to tell you guys, and I'm sure that many of you have experienced this, that writing is not a profession that is respected in our society today. As a society, we respect books, and we respect movies, and we respect music, and we respect characters, and we love to buy t-shirts with our favorite characters on them, and we love to talk shop about Harry Potter around the water cooler, right? But we don't always respect the writer that created those things, right? And so it's this weird thing. It's like this huge contradiction, right? As a society, like we reap the benefits every single day when we turn on the television of writing, but we don't respect writers when someone says that I want to be a writer in my life. And, I think that's ridiculous. I think people need to just really understand that this is an honorable profession. I think society sometimes sees the writing profession as a joke, especially in colleges, right? They see it as a joke and they just don't understand it. And the best way to deal with those people is to smile and nod and move on. All right, so the last type of person I want to talk about is the most important type of person, and that is your spouse, significant other, or in some cases, some of you who are younger, your parents, right? And so there are plenty of examples of people that I know who are writers, and in fact, very YouTube subscribers on this channel who have posted and written me privately about how do I get my spouse on board, or how do I get my mom to understand that I'm following my dream, and I'll be honest with you, this is the hardest type of one to deal with, right? Because all the other ones, I guess, kind of said, just tell them to go somewhere or just smile and nod, and you can't do this with your spouse or with your parents, right? This is a completely different type of category because it's very hard to succeed without your spouse understanding what it is that you're doing and being supportive of it. It's very hard to succeed without your parents understanding what it is that you're doing and what you intend to do with it, right? And so the best thing that I would recommend for you to do is to have a come to Jesus moment with them, right? And it's really just to sit down and explain to them, hey, this is my passion. I really feel that I could do this if I keep working at it, and here are the things that I want to do in order to get there. And just explain that to them and make sure that they really understand where you're coming from and that this is something that really fills that spiritual well that you have, right? Now, the reason that spouses and parents are sometimes fearful of writing is because, writing doesn't always pay the bills, right? I mean, I talk on this channel all the time about how I think we should be businesslike about our writing. We should be authorpreneurs and we should try to make money from our work, right? But that's not the reality for a lot of people. And sometimes that's self-inflicted. Other times it just has to do with the fact that, readers may not want to buy a certain book, or a publisher may not want to pick a certain book to publish. And so that is a very real reality. And I think that our spouses and our parents, they see that and that scares them. right? And your parents and your spouse, they want the best for you, right? And so to me, I've always felt that that is a very natural response to when someone says that you want to be a writer and they don't understand it. I just think you have to understand that mindset. And you just have to understand that that is the boogeyman that you're going to be dealing with very early on in your career until you start to get to a point where you start to make some money, right? You just have to understand that, and you just have to communicate what it is that you want and what it is that you're going to do to your parents or to your spouse to help them understand that this really is your passion. And at the same time, that's only one half of the equation, right? The other half of the equation is you've got to make sure that you're making those compromises and helping give them what they need, right? So, that time that you're going to spend writing, all that time locked away in your room or locked away writing, that's time that you're not going to spend with your spouse, right? And so you've got to find that middle ground that you can give to your spouse. So I'll give myself as an example, right? So my wife is not a writer. She doesn't do any writing. And in the beginning of our relationship, I told her, writing is really important to me. Expressing myself is really important to me, and it's something that I want to do. And so she has always been really good about giving me the space to write, even though it's not a universe that she really understands. And so by giving me that space, I make sure that I give her what she needs, and that is time away with her girlfriends and watching my daughter and giving her that time that's kind of equal and commensurate to all the time that I spend doing my stuff and making sure that I make time for family and that this profession doesn't completely eat away everything that I've built in terms of the relationships and the spiritual relationship that I have with my wife and my daughter, right? And so that's something that's a very deliberate choice that we've both made, and just understanding that this lifestyle is something that I have to follow. I'm compelled to do it. We're fortunate enough that it's making money for us and helping us to survive, but that may not be the case for all of you. And so I just think you need to have that raw and honest communication. So just have that and hope that they come along for the ride, but just don't forget to give them what they need as well. So that's my crash course in dealing with naysayers. I hope some of you have benefited from watching this video. It's not overly complicated, but you just have to be willing and be sure to have those raw and honest conversations with the people in your lives that need it. So with that, I hope that if this is your first time on the video that you consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you in the next one.